Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it's your favorite dark sorcerer, Michael Hyson, aka Angelus, son of Abaddon. Now, tonight I'd like to discuss with you the Sith and the Sith lore. Okay, now, as most of you know, for the better part of the last year, I've been heavily immersed within the Mazajira Cabal system. I've been really influenced, my practices included, through the works that Sumnus Dreadwood put out. Now, ever since I got the book Profane Seals, I wasn't really a big fan of it at first. And until I got done with Chanel Whispers and got done with reading the Black Scriptures and the Eye of the Oracle books. And then I started getting into the Profane Seals, and I came across the Seal of the Sith. Okay, number one, you got the Seal of the Necromancer, or the Seal of the Conjurer, I should say. But you get the Seal of the Disciple and all this stuff. And then you get the Seal of the Leech. Okay, the Lick. In German, it was translated into Russian, and that's what a lot of people that get into this go by. Okay. And it was the spelling wise, but a lot of people don't know what it is. Now, the leek or leech is a cadaver, a dead body, or dying. Okay, type thing is it deals with corpses, basically, the Greek definition, if you wish, of necromancy or necromantic foundations of rejuvenation, stuff like that. But what got my attention besides the necromantic aspects and that of the leek was also the Sith. Now, keep in mind, up until now, I always thought that the Sith was actually a part of the Star Wars system. Okay? You know, the Hollywood produced ideas. Hey, Bickel. And I always thought that they were just, based off that. And then I find out when I started doing early research into the Sith lore and all that, that there was actually a fast growing religion based off the Sith. It became notarized in 2001, and by 2005, it was a recognized religion. Okay. Who knew? I guess they let anything become a religion these days, right? Especially if you have doctrine and you have followers that can back it up, especially with the United States penal codes, especially that of the First Amendment. Okay? Now, here's the kicker. For the last few weeks, since I really started delving in and doing research, because I kept coming up against these two words, the Sith and the Leech. Okay? Now, I finally found all the information I could on the Leech. Okay? And how it was transferred from its original Germanic root into the Russian traditions. Now, as you know, I've also been getting into Slavic witchcraft. Okay. And that deals a lot with both the JCI and that of pagan views of witchcraft. And it comes from a fifth generation witch. Okay. Now, here's the thing. So far in the Russian aspect, I haven't found anything on the Sith. But I had posted some stuff on Facebook, and a guy that I'm friends with that is actually getting into or has been involved in the Cabal system. He studied it, actually turned me on to Chanel Whispers. Okay, Chanel Whispers. Now, here's the funny thing is, I've read this book at least 6 or 7 times, and I've overlooked this one topic, the Sith. Okay? And he turned me on to it within this book. Okay? So I'm going to go to page 63. All right? Well, technically it's page 62, but it goes into 63. And it's called Baob Han Sith. Calling the Baohan Sith. Baobhan. Sith. 2 words. And it explains in detail of what they are and what they're about. And I found that very, very interesting because I can't believe that I've read this book that many times, studied it, looked at everything, and still missed this. True. And the square root of 9 is 3. So I found it very interesting that these 3 things kept popping up. The necromancer, the lick, and Sith in my studies. Everything, it just kept popping up in 3. So I decided a couple weeks ago, you know what? There's a reason for it. The Blighton Lords want me to know something. Guess what? I'm going to do it. So I delved into it. And like I said, I found a lot of things. And since I just told you about that one, I'm going to turn you on to something. So I went into a web page called Angel Fire. Now, when I looked up Sith in general, I came up with a website done by Angel Fire. Okay, and it had an entire thing of rituals for the Sith, like fire blasts and all that stuff. And it kind of sounded to me like something that's based off the video games and stuff like that. But it was pretty cool. So let me get out of here real fast. And I'm going to show you something because I shared this with my brother because I wanted his opinion on it because it was something that caught my attention, whether it just didn't sit right. Now it says Sith spells and Dathomir witch spells. Okay. Dathomir is Dathomir. Okay. For those of you who want to look this up. Now it's got Bolt of Hatred, Dark Side Web, Aura of Uneasiness, Electronic Manipulation, Waves of Darkness, Force Mind, Drain Life Energy, Memory Wipe, Force Grip, Force Blind, Create Force Sensitivity in another, Overcome Awareness, the Ritual of Obliteration. And then it goes into actual other spells by the Dathomir witch spells. And it goes into like things like Spell of Comfort, Spell of Power, and stuff like that. So I mean, I wanted to get my brother's opinion on it, and he actually said he was going to take a look at it. Now you consider it's been about 48 hours since I sent it to him, so he probably hasn't had a chance to look at it yet. But there was something else that I wanted to share with you because when we think of the occult and we think of witchcraft and magic, people believe that witchcraft and sorcery is about power, specifically black magic. Okay? And a lot of today's occultists, such as Satanists, mostly it's done by the atheistic Satanists who think that it's a war. Okay, they're playing the bad guy badge and stuff like that, going by the teachings of Anton Xander LaVey. And so I looked up the code of the Sith. Okay, I had a strong feeling. I was 99% sure that everything I found was going to be on the TV show and that of the movies. Okay, and I was right. Basically, the Sith code is this: peace is a lie. There is only passion. Okay, right here, that is realistic. Number one, and passion is a part of the occult. When you're thinking Satanism, it is literally self gratification. Anything that brings the individual self gratification is all good as long as it doesn't violate the highest and number one law, self preservation. Okay? Now, then it goes on, through passion, I gain strength. Now, anyone who knows about weightlifting knows that to gain strength, you must work every muscle. Same thing within magic. Okay, magic, utilizing your psychic. You're opening up your third eye, opening up your chakras, your kundalini, and learning to manipulate things like the energies within and outside you. Energy manipulation. Okay, this is just common sense. Okay, so through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Now, the one thing anybody who's ever been in the martial arts will tell you flat out, it is not about power. Power is all good. Okay, for an example, if you're going to throw a punch at somebody, okay, you want to use what is known as a ki. This not only amps up the power, but it allows you to protect at the same time. Okay, through victory, my chains are broken. The force shall be free me. Okay. Now I started thinking about this in the occult. Okay. Number one, I do not see this as a part of the occult system because obviously it's fiction. But if you break it down into the three categories of gratification, power, generation, and freeing the self, when we get into psychic awareness and opening this up, is this not opening yourself up to hypnosis? When we start working in black magic or any form of magic, testing our boundaries and our will, is this not a form of power, especially if you're attacked and you retaliate in kind? And through victory, through power, you find victory. Okay? Okay, so passion, victory, and power. Okay? Through passion, if one enjoys fighting, you're going to get better because the more you do it, the better off you'll be. It's the same thing with any form of ritual. So, when I first started looking into the Sith aspects of the Cabal, I had an open mind. I really did. And the more I found, the more I was intrigued. You know, I've always been fascinated with necromancy. It's one of my greatest passions outside Satanism. And that's my main two things that I practice. But the leech was something new. And I never really took the time to actually look into this because a lot of the old school dealt with skulls. They dealt with certain bones and other things. But to see what can be done through a corpse, such as rejuvenation, as Francis Barrett, author of The Magus, Volume 1 and 2, so colorfully put it. There are two aspects to necromancy. Number one is conjuration, and number two is rejuvenation of a corpse. Okay? And this is through chiromancy and necromancy, necromantic practices. So the more I delved into this, the more I understood and the more enlightened I became. And even my practices have been boosted a little bit through this knowledge. So, I mean, the one thing I can say is that the more you study, the more you practice, the more enlightened you become. And before long, even your practices benefit from it. But as for the Sith aspect, I kept coming up against the dead end wall. Like I said, I kept coming up either against the Hollywood show, the Old Republic, or that of the movies, or some kind of video game like Diablo 1, 2, 3, and 4, or whatever. I just kept coming up to this, and I couldn't figure it out. And then I came across that one page by Angel Fire, and it's like, you know what? Sounds interesting, these rituals. So I got to get a second opinion on this. So I sent it to my brother. He hasn't responded as of yet, but he's also been very, very busy with work. So I have no doubt he'll get back to me on that. But to actually get on Facebook today and see a fellow practitioner of the Cabal get underneath my post and actually tell me about Chanel Whispers, page 62 to 63. And I'm going to tell you a little bit what it says right here. Okay? The mortician, the gravedigger, wait, wrong page. Sorry about that. That is my bad. One page forward. There we go. Calling the Bebohan Sith are indeed creatures of the Fae. However, they are also vampiric beings, female spirits under equal authority of Phalorn as being Fae and Silrin as being banshees. Now, I've studied the banshee in the past. Very, very awesome. Hello, Lord Hades, Black Flame. I was just discussing about what you posted. I couldn't believe how many pages, how many times I've read this book and never came across this. So I did get your message and I did reply on Facebook just to let you know. And vampiric, they surprisingly, they do not serve under such vampiric patrons as Metragol or Aliroon. They are vicious, voracious creatures of the night and are to be handled with respect, for even unto the necromancer, while they are will ultimately serve as charged. Their hunger, coupled by their evil nature, at times makes them difficult to work with. Now, I'm not going to go into the whispers aspects or anything like that because of the fact that it is a personal path, okay? It is something that when you become a disciple, you have to honor, okay? You don't share these with anyone outside of the cabal or those of your trusted few. Um, but I did find this very, very useful, and it did lead me into new areas. Okay, so again, Lord Hades, thank you for that. Okay, and I'm gonna have to go back into the other books because I own all of the ones out so far. Okay, and I'm gonna see if I can find more information on them because I did find this very interesting and helpful between the banshees and the vampiric aspects. It's led me into other areas. So I did wanted to update people on this and kind of keep you all up to date on what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So in profane seals, you do find the photo of the seal. They do kind of get it does kind of give you a small little proverb of how to use it, but outside of that, it didn't go into much information. But with this new information that's come to pass, it's led me into a whole bunch of other things. And I'll be doing a video on that at a later time. So, but I did want to put that out there. All right. Now, I hope that this has been educational. I hope it's been enlightening, namely because of the fact that the vampiric are European based, whereas the zombie has been rooted from African traditions, the ghoul, Middle Eastern, to and then you have the wraith, and then you have the revenants, going all the way up into Germanic and areas such as that. So I mean, there's a lot of information on the agents of death, and now to notice that the Sith are actually associated with the Fae. I've got books on that, so I can actually go in and study this aspect through them, especially that of the ancient Gaelic system, such as Druidism and the Celtic lores. So I do look forward to that a lot. I'm actually excited. And because I have the next 3 days off, guess what? That's what I'm going to be doing. And I'll also be doing some rituals in the meantime. So, with that said, I hope this has been intellectual. I hope it's been enlightening, and I'll keep you up to date. If you have any questions, feel free to message me here or on Facebook. Um, I will get back to you. And with that said, yeah, and Scottish was actually part of the ancient Druids as well. If I'm not mistaken, the ancient Gaelic system actually originated in Scotland, if not Iceland area. And the Scottish were actually the Anglo-Saxon region as well, which was kind of cool. But with that said, have a good night. And yes, it did help. And until next time.